everyone, and welcome back to Inside ArtScroll, where the books you read and the people who write them come to life. Today I am joined by Rabbi Heshy Kleinman, best-selling author of Praying with Fire, Yearning with Fire, other wonderful works. Thank you, Rabbi Kleinman, for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now we'll get into your amazing books, which have impacted literally thousands of people all over the world, changing the way they daven, changing the way they yearn for the Geula, and really changing their perspective on Ruchnius and their connection with the Ribono Shel Olam. But I would love to hear, just for a couple minutes, a background. Where do you come from? Who influenced you? And how you got into the business, so to speak, of writing and influencing people.
The story is a very ordinary story. I grew up in Borough Park. I went to Torah Shemesh Elementary School. I was a Pirchei boy, 14th Avenue, Rabbi Trank, Rabbi Label Katz. I grew up with, in fact, we even went to camp with some of our Pirchei leaders who were counselors. This was a very tight-knit group. And my older brother went to the Mir in Brooklyn, so I followed suit. And the Mir for me was a wonderful, wonderful place. My, so to speak, Rebbe, all the Rebbeim that I had were wonderful, but the one that I really, I connected with the most, I think, was Shmuel Bruni, Zechet Tzadik Bracha.
Oh, wow.
And Shmuel Bruni, in the yeshiva, you had to be there 2 years. I stayed in extra Zman, and I would have stayed there longer had they not kicked me out. Mm-hmm. And I was very fortunate to have a kesher with my Rebbe. Although I lived in Borough Park and I had a car, I chose to dorm. And one day after Shir, Rebbe's walking home, and I saw him, I speeded up, jumped out of my car. I said, Rebbe, maybe I can take you wherever Rebbe wants to go. Nee, ich weiß. And he said, well, you know what, can you take me home? And after that, we had a kesher. And 10 days later, he had to go to the doctor. He came over to me and he said, oh, Efshe, I can take him to the doctor. It was a wonderful, wonderful kesher. Wow. His shir was sublime. It was a mad. You know,
you mentioned Rabbi Trank. Rabbi Trank was famously a very, very close Talmud
yes,
of Shmuel Bruni.
That is correct. And afterwards, with Shmuel Birnbaum, Tzadik Levracha, the lumdus and the hasmada, and just the love of Torah oozed out of him in everything that he did. The famous story with Shmuel was he would not Masada Gedushin by a chasana before the end of Seder. Seder ended the next day. It was 8 o'clock at night. And by my chasana, I had the schus to have the Rashiva being Masada, but the chuppah was 8:30. The Rashiva
to accommodate his schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, you want the Rashiva there, you have to accommodate him. So I grew up in Borough Park, went to the Mir, and like everybody else, I was a Pirchei boy learning in the Mir. Specifically how did I get into writing? I had a chavrusa. I needed a chavrusa during the day. Baruch Hashem, I was able to spend my time during the day doing things other than kind of running to Manhattan to work, Baruch Hashem. I was learning up a storm, and I needed to get a chavrusa during the day. So I saw somebody left a flyer in a shul of a phone number. I was learning with my shver, Shmuel Lichtenstein, Zechet Tzadik Levracha. He was a Rav, a big Talmid Chacham. We were learning the daf. And it wasn't just learning, that was a couple of hours that I invested during the day. And when we decided, okay, we both have to go to the next step, whatever that might be, so I needed to get a chavrusa, and I saw there was an ad hanging in a shul for a phone number, and I called the guy, and he wasn't for me. And then I said, by the way, can you recommend? He said, yeah, my chavrusa, who I just broke up with, he's available, give him a call. I gave him a call, and you talk about things, min hashamayim. I had called him the whole summer, didn't pick up the phone. I said to myself, this is the last time I'm calling this fellow. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't pick up the phone, it's not for me. Of course, he picks up the phone. He was in Eretz Yisrael, and we have been the closest of friends ever since. He's a tzaddik, mamashit, tzaddik yisoid. He's unbelievable. And we would learn during the morning until about 11:45.
Could you reveal who it is?
What?
Could you reveal who it is?
My great friend, Rabbi Mordechai Gelber, who heads Hakel, people that know Hakel in Flatbush, and he's Mamash Tzaddik, those that know him, unbelievable. I don't know if he'll be too pleased that I mentioned his name, Sharia Mordechai, but he's an unbelievable individual. And when I would drive him to the train to go to work, for him to go to work to Manhattan, we would always have these discussions about what's going on kind of in the world and in Klal Yisrael. We both had an affinity for like, let's try to do something for Klal Yisrael, so to speak. He had his own and I had my own. And one of the areas was tefillah. So he being an attorney, and he knew how to write, and I knew how to write a little bit, we put together a proposal for Flatbush. This is the true story. And we went to a Rosh Hashiva, and we sat down. I knocked on his door. We sat down. We said, Rosh Hashiva, he was an Adam Gadol. And he says, sorry, I can't do anything. What do you mean? He says, I can't tell Rabbanim what to do. Go to Rav so-and-so in Flatbush. Sit down, talk to him. I went to Rav so-and-so, who I happened to learn with in the Mir many years before. He knew me, I knew him. And when we showed him the proposal, he says, I'm telling you up front, there's not much I can do. And I said, what? How could that be? Somebody needs to do something. We need to be mechazik tefillah. So my chavrusa looks at me and says, so why don't you do something about it? Why don't you write a book? So I said, you know something? I think I will. So I had been giving shiurim, and people said to me that your style is, you make things sound so like easy to understand, like it's so straightforward. Why don't you? So I wrote the book in Hebrew. And then somebody said to me, no one's going to read it. Lashon Kodesh. So I had to write it in English. One of my kids said to me, Abba, who's going to read your book on Tefillah? And he was absolutely right. He was 100% right. But then, of course, I needed an editor. I went through 3 editors. They were all very good, but they weren't my style. I write with a tinge of irony, a tinge of humor, kind of a little bit, out of the box, if you will.
Sure.
And then my Chava, Mordechai Gelber, said to me, there's a book, there's an editor, she edited the book for Shmir Saloshin. She's wonderful. Her name is Chana Nesselbaum. Par excellence. She is unbelievable.
Mrs. Nesselbaum is fantastic.
She's everything. And I reached out to her and she says, you want to see the way the Eibishter works? She said to me, I'll never forget, she says, you called me just this morning. I just finished editing my last book. Today, I now have free time. What do you want me to do? So I said, I write a lesson a day, which I need people to read it and to process it. My wife is the therapist. It's like you need the time in between to read it, gain the inspiration, and say, okay, take a step back. What am I going to do to internalize it? She said, send me a couple of days. I did. She sent it back, and I looked at it, and I said to myself, where have you been hiding? Unbelievable. Wow. And she's just been
She helped you turn the lessons into a book?
Yeah.
What year are we talking about now?
This goes back, 2005? Yes. No, around then. 2005. The truth is, it took me 4 years to write the book.
We're talking about your original Praying with Fire, right?
Yeah. And the truth is, I already knew in my head what the book should look like. But every time I wrote it, I put it down going, why am I doing this? And then I would pick it up again, and then finally I realized that someone's got to do this.
How did you compile it? Were you going through classic works on the Siddur? Did you have certain sources of inspiration? Was it your Rabbeim? How would you say you did that?
Throughout the years, when you learn certain things, I always, again, inspiration to me is a wonderful thing. Ruchnius is a wonderful thing, but the shoirish, the root of Ruchnius is Ruach. You got to do something with it. Rav Dessler, I love Mechtav Melio. Rav Tzadok, they're all up there. They're like my Hall of Fame list, if you will. Rav Dessler writes, when Klal Yisrael was Oila Regel, imagine, everybody from the towns went out to greet them. It was literally, I'll use the word lahavdil, a parade. And they were going and they were playing the instruments, and Klal Yisrael is coming, and they come to Yerushalayim. Could you imagine Yerushalayim HaKodesh? There's the Mikdash, And what's that sound? Oh, that's the Levium with the shear. And what's that? That's the Kaihanim, the Korbanis. What's that, what we see? I mean, there's like everything. Tremendous inspiration. And the Pasuk said, you got to bring a korban. What do you mean? Look at the inspiration. I remember when we had to see Mashas, just driving up to Giant Stadium and coming in and looking at the seats and the place is filling up. And you see the Gedolim and you see everybody coming and you're filled with the Chavivas, a love for Klal Yisrael, for Torah, for the Eibush. I mean, you're totally like, this is unbelievable. This is mind-boggling. I can imagine, or maybe I can't imagine, what the inspiration must have been for anybody who was Oila Regel. Mm-hmm. But what do? You got to bring a korban. Why? Said the Mechtam Eliyahu. Inspiration alone is not enough. You have to be koine, you have to take that inspiration that you have, do something. Be koine through a maisa. That's the Rambam. Hakol afi roi v'maisa. The actions that we do, it enables us to internalize it. The thought and the feelings that we have that is really like ephemeral, it's kind of like in the luft. It's ruach, it's the wind. The next day, the wind stops blowing. I don't even remember that yesterday the wind was blowing. So when I would learn things, I would kind of say to myself, okay, so what am I going to do with this? How is this going to impact on my life? And when I would go through Mechtam Eliyahu, and again, I kind of knew in my head what I thought needs to be done, let's say for tefillah, I would keep index cards and I would work out the chapters and the details on the index card and I would just slot in what I read. Mm-hmm. If I read this Yesod, I'd go, yeah, this is the strategy, how to have kavanah. I knew what the book would look at, but everything was in, if I can just open up my head and spill it out on the paper, I wouldn't have to take the time to write everything.
How would you summarize what you think has been your effective approach to tefillah? Why do you think your books, which Baruch Hashem have been very, very well received all across the globe?
Well received, because I must tell you, ArtScroll did a great job. Seriously, my editor, Mrs. Nesselbaum, Mrs. Judy Dick over here in ArtScroll.
Sure, no one better.
Are you kidding me? I mean, again, this is the Hall of Fame of Jewish philosophy, of Yiddishkeit throughout the ages. You know, we marvel at Ravina and Rav Ashi. Ravina and Rav Ashi, they were Masada the Gemaras, right? So they are the ones, they're the Hall of Fame list. You've got the ArtScroll people and the editors, they do unbelievable things.
There is a tremendous amount of credit to those who make it happen.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, you're responsible for what's inside the book. And like I was saying before, there's something about your approach. It's very down to earth. You bring stories to buttress your point. And you're offering very practical advice. But again, is that how you view it? And why do you think people connect to that?
Okay, there are two things. Number one, I'm a regular 2 feet on the ground individual. I'm a regular Brooklyn kid. Grew up in Brooklyn. I went to camp. I played sports. I'm a regular guy. You know what I mean? It happens to be, for some reason, the Eibush to put me in a situation to be able to have the time, the ability, and the connection, as I mentioned, the story. It's interesting. When I started to write the book, I became a Rav of a shul in Flatbush. I was kind of drafted in. There was a shul that had a Rav. The Rav left right before the Yom Noraim, and they asked me to come, and I was the Rav for Yom Noraim, and they said, oh, would you stick around? Mm-hmm. And I stuck around for about a year, and then I realized I can do much more. I can accomplish so much more because it took up too much of my time. And I don't know if it was the right decision. You know, everyone does not learn from, you know, you need a specific Rav that connects with you. But Baruch Hashem, I found...
Your Shver was a Rav as well, right?
That is correct.
And that shul is where your son, Reb Daniel, is now the Rav
that is
in
correct.
Flatbush,
yeah,
correct?
Yeah, and he's doing unbelievable work. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. And we're very proud of him. So there are two things. It's got to be down to earth. It's got to be with clarity. A lot of people are familiar with a lot of things in Yiddishkeit. Whether it's Teshuvah, whether it's Emunah, whether it's Tefillah, whether it's Geula. And we kind of know the headlines, which is very good, but people have a lot of questions. And I get emails all the time, and I get questions on the phone all the time.
I'm sure you get questions. So people probably tell you, listen, I daven, I have tremendous amount of kavanah, I'm trying my best, and it's just It's not coming, right?
That's why we wrote a chapter, finding answers to unanswered prayers. Because, when I write a book, I don't write for the things that I'm thinking about. I write for the things that I think everybody else out there is thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like get a sense, and I don't know how, I don't know why and how it works, but I kind of get a sense of what's bugging people.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Because we're limited on time,
Right.
we can't go through all your books.
Right.
Give our viewers one tip, the biggest, most profound, effective tip that you think people could take with them that will transform their daily prayers into a whole other experience. What would you say it is?
Okay, so let me expand that in all areas of Yiddishkeit. Emunah, Teshuvah, make things real. The difference between Emunah Chushis and Emunah Sichlius. Emunah Chushis is experiential. Emunah Sichlius is intellectual. Rashi tells us Noach was Miktanei Amonah. Why? Because they had Emunah Sichlius. That's Nam Pshat, that's in Chaya Ilam, that's the disciple of Pshat, in Pashat Noach. And Rabbi Yerucham says there's the difference. The old one. We know the difference. It's like from one end of the world to the other. Make things real to you. Everybody knows we're all ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim, but the difference is how real is it? How vivid? If it's real, it becomes relevant, and if it's relevant, it becomes something that I feel that I need to do to enhance my life. And therefore, it's something that my heart tells me I got to do. The heart rules over the person's
So
limbs.
in a practical sense, how
Yes.
do you do that? How do you make your tefillah real?
So take the situations that a person has. When you say she'osali kol tzorki, and think about the things. I woke up this morning. Stop. Be mindful of the fact that it's real. The Eibishter is the one who actually gives us the koyach to be able to come here, to be able to sit in a chair and to speak with you, to be able to do all the things that we do. When you have a moment and you feel wow, whether it's something that you saw, something that you did, something fortunate that happens, and even something unfortunate, if you feel that this is out of the norm, take that moment, stop the frame. Stop for a moment. It takes a couple of seconds. Internalize the way you felt. That's what mindfulness is all about. Get not into what happened, get into the feelings, and then keep a list of those things. That will help a person to build slowly. I remember the old Polaroid camera. You used to take out the film and see the dots connect. 60-second land camera. Mm-hmm. The dots are the incidences, the experiences that we have. Eventually, this experience and that and the others will all start to connect to create the picture that the Eibishter runs the world. Mm. The Eibishter runs the world. I will have emunah, I will have betachin, I want to connect, I want to have a relationship. I'm looking forward to the Geula, Bayom Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. I want to do tshuva, I want to get closer to Him. Everything now falls in line.
Interconnected.
Yes, if you can connect with Him, if you make it real and gain clarity, then, wow, Yiddishkeit is an unbelievable experience. Wow. And that's something that we can, in fact, now we're going to be doing this tshuva initiative because when Elul is in September and everyone back from their well-earned vacation, it's an opportunity to get everybody to grow. If we're doing tshuva at 58%, another couple of percent, let's get it into the 60s. And if you're doing it in the 70s, let's get it up into the 80s. And if you're doing it at 15%, let's get it up to 20. Who knows what that little extra percentage means in terms of more panosa, more shalom, more gesund, more nachas for the world. What we do impacts on the world. It's real. It's actually happening. We are the ones through our maisim. The Eibishter loves us. He's saying, give me an opportunity to give you bracha. Open up the channel to new ois. Give me the so-called ability, if you will, to be able to be mashpia bracha to you. Come closer. The mashal that I give is, you go to a restaurant they're going to charge you. And if I have a big event, they're going to charge me. But what happened if the restaurant owner is my father? And I'm making this chassan. He's not going to charge me. We are bonim l'Hashem Elokeichem. He wants to give us bracha. And it's not going to cost a lot. He just wants us to get close. He wants us to feel that we are as close to a parent that we are close to the Eibishter.
Now, I want to get into this Teshuvah initiative,
Yes.
which you're launching, which is actually incredible. You know, usually as the years go by, people slow down. Rabbi Heshy Kleinman, you seem to be picking up speed. You're not slowing down.
Well, you know, the older we get, the bigger bracha that the Eibishter gives us, that we get to live another day. And therefore, it's all the more reason why we need to do more. The Eibishter gave us life for a reason.
That's an inspiring perspective and definitely a healthy one to have.
Can you imagine if we get hundreds of thousands? I'm a dreamer.
So let's
Right.
For our viewers here, get back to this.
Okay.
You're launching a Teshuvah initiative.
Yes.
Where did you get this idea, and what's your end game? What do you want to do with this?
Okay. So years ago, about 12, 13 years ago, it dawned on me that, and we are Baruch Hashem, from the ArtScroll book, Praying with Fire, we got tremendous positive feedback. And everybody kept on saying, it changed my life, it changed my life. So I figured, 1 second. So then every single shul, and Rabbi Yisachar Frand called me up one day and he sent me an email going, every shul should be doing this. And if it's good for Rabbi Yisachar Frand and Ramat Asio, they were all on board, were small, that I figured, you know what, let's try to get so we launched initiatives. I would go down to cities. And anybody in any cities out there, if you want, 4 years ago we did it in Dallas. And when I go to the city, I spoke 13 times in every school and every shul.
On what topic is this?
On whatever it is. So we did it on Teshuvah, then we did it on Tefillah. Northeast Philly, in the Kollel, we did it on Teshuvah last year. This year we're doing it on Tefillah in Elul. We've done initiatives in over 155 shuls. We've done, let's see, if I can look at my list over here. Baltimore, 12 years ago, we had 24 shuls, 2,000 people. We did a Siyum on a Monday night. Rav Mordechai Willie came. Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky, we had close to 1,000 people. We did it in Toronto, Seattle, St. Louis, Dallas, parts of Miami, Philadelphia, Great Neck, parts of Brooklyn, Bergen County. Zev Cohen was the first shul in Chicago. So if we can get other cities to be mechazik, can you imagine a shul, everybody, Ba'achtus would be doing a lesson a day. Pick your own book, great. I don't care whose book it is, but let's be mechazik tefillah. The geula comes through tefillah. This is our lifeline. It's like a golden opportunity. Could you imagine somebody said, I got a tip for you in the market? I'd run and say, tell me, where do I need to read it? Send me the newsletter. It takes 5 minutes a day in English, and I can understand it. And people have read it before, and they say they really love it. It connects with them. Tell me where to do it. So we started that, and I used to go to different cities, and I would do the lecture, okay? And then we started to do the Teshuvah one, and then other communities found out, and they wanted to do it. So Baruch Hashem, Dallas was a beautiful experience. I'd walk around, literally, on Shabbos. You know, I told them I need to bring my roller skates, literally. You know, I walked 6 miles to one part of that was in St. Louis. It was great.
Wow.
On Shabbat.
So this is a 40-day project.
So since El is in September, and El is a time for Teshuvah, and everyone's going to do Teshuvah, why not just maximize the power of the Teshuvah that we're going to do? So the 40 days, we're going to make it available. I shouldn't say we, ArtScroll. Unbelievable. ArtScroll is going to give us the ability to send out a lesson a day in their inbox through the apps. You want to get the book, we'll get it to you at a discount through the V'Ani Tefillah Foundation. No shipping charge. It's like it's all set up for success. This is win-win for everyone.
And I know you're going to be recording video clips also.
Whatever, right? I'm going to be doing a Zoom lecture for Northeast Philly. That'll be on the Tefillah. Hey, whatever somebody wants to be mechazik, this is unbelievable. Could you imagine we got everybody in Klal Yisrael lockstep, upping the ante, doing tshuva, connecting?
Wow.
The Eibush and Shammai must be going, wow, look at it. This is why you guys are great. I'll bring you bracha.
It's a huge schos ahead of the Yom Adin. Tremendous.
No, I mean, No, I can't think of a better way to usher in the new year.
Why do you think people have that feeling of inertia or feeling of fear, or, very often Ella will come around and people will say, they won't tune in till it's closer to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. Sometimes we're standing on Yom Kippur and the inspiration doesn't hit till then. Why do you think people procrastinate, especially when it comes to this topic that you're going to be focusing on now?
It's called Bechira. The reward, the closeness to the Eibishter is so wonderful. It's so meaningful. It's so powerful. In order for there to be Bechira, we must have an equal weight on the other side. Mm-hmm. So therefore the Eibishter created V'Sargi Leinu. I'll give you Hergel. And not only that, I'm going to hide behind the curtain. Why? So the reward should be tremendous. In other words, if I said to you, I want you to get into a car, no air conditioning, it's going to be a bumpy ride. We're going to have 15 people. You're going to have to sit on someone's lap, but the ride is for 5 minutes. But you know where we're going? We're going to a bank. And we're going to, but it's going to be a tough ride for 5 minutes. You want it or not? I think everybody, almost everyone, would say yes. Yeah, but for 5 minutes, oh, ow, I felt that bump. Oh boy, I'm sweating. But there's another 3 minutes to go. And you know what's at the end? At the end of the 5 minutes, everything that I ever dreamt of. We don't feel that connection to the Eibishter. We don't feel the schar. True, we don't do mitzvahs for the schar. But the Rashba said that's why, what's the reward? When asati, no, you'll have rain. In fact, the Rashba, let the Torah talk about Olam Haba. No, Olam Haba, nobody's felt it. Nobody experienced it. If I want to give you an incentive, it must be something, goes back to what I said before, chushis. It must be something that I can experience. You know why there's inertia? Because we're kind of confused. One more last vote, if I may. I hate to bore you with all the, because once I get started, I'm sorry, I can't stop. Klal Yisrael, Nasa v'Nishma, Kabbalah Satira. Unbelievable. I mentioned before, they were oil regal the inspiration. Can you imagine Kabbalah Satira? And what happens the next day? Avodah Zarah. In fact, Rav Chaim Shulevitz, what's going on over here? How is it possible? Not only that, that's not the Yetzer Hara style. He doesn't go from 0 to 100. Right. He goes a little. Said Rav Chaim Shulevitz, you say, the worst thing for a Jew is to be confused. Moshe Rabbeinu, is he alive? The Satan showed Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't alive? Oh no, he's not. Wait, I thought Moshe Rabbeinu, I thought he went to get the Torah. He's not coming down. Wait. So he got the Torah, he didn't. Mass confusion. The worst thing, if there's confusion. Tshuva, so what exactly do I need to do? I mean, do I say I'm sorry? Do I feel bad? But I really don't feel bad, but I say, what are the, you know what? Let's all gain clarity. 5 minutes a day, in English, in your inbox. It will help to bring bracha to you, to your family, to Klal Yisrael. It'll bring the geula. And we don't have to go through all the tsaris to wake us up. It'll bring the geula. Teshuvah. And the teshuvah is not on the generations of the past. It's our generation. Last word from the Michtav Melio. You get into a dark room and you get into a light room. A room like this, well lit, you light a match, no one's going to see it. It won't illuminate anything. You won't even know that it's been lit. You get into a dark room. The smallest match is the greatest illumination. Our generation, dark generation. If we all light the match a little bit stronger, a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter, you know what the illumination can be for the world? You know what we can do? Could you imagine they'll say on our generation, we were the generation that brought the geula. We were the ones that recognized we need to do tshuva the right way. We got the chizuk, the encouragement. We know the halachas 5 minutes a day. We do it together, the achdus, the tshuva, the ruchnius, the eivishter.
Well, listen, the schus is, you have such a schus because you're inspiring.
We all don't
you're inspiring so many people to tap into it.
We all do it together. Without ArtScroll, I can't do anything. Without my editor, I can't do anything. Without the person doing the lighting here, I can't do anything. Without the Eibishter, we can't do anything. But we all have our job. We all have our achrayus. If everybody does their little piece, we can create the tapestry of this big, beautiful picture.
Beautiful.
And that brings the
So
glory.
on that note, as we conclude, could you provide people who are watching, people who are listening, if they want to join this initiative, they want to tap into 40 days of inspiration for Teshuvah?
Okay, the website is V'Ani Tefillah.org, V, Victor A, N, Norman I, T, Thomas E, F, Frank I, L, L, Larry, A, Apple, H, Happy, .org.
Okay.
That's the website. You'll be able to see all the things we do. By the way, we do programs in the elementary schools. I'm not going to give you the details now about that. But for the Teshuvah thing, 40 days, as they used to say, for a limited time and a limited time only. Okay? This is the opportunity now. It doesn't come around every single day of the year. The Eibishter is close. We need to, move our game up a little
Well,
bit.
thank you for doing this. Thank you for the inspiration. Emir Hashem, this should be the last Yimei Adin in Galus.
Amen.
And together with your inspiration, we should be zeichet to see what you described before.
Together with all our inspiration. If I said this to me and to you, it would be great. 2 people would do a little bit more or better tshuva. But we need everyone, because everyone, whatever anyone does, Nefesh HaChaim, don't minimize the impact what any individual does.
So with our collective inspiration.
There you go. Thank you.
We should see the Kaihanim Elavim you mentioned before, that incredible scene in Mitzvah Hashem with the coming of Mashiach, and we're so
Transparency, I'm a Kayan.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know you had an agenda there.
there you go. Uncovered everything.
Chel Araisa, as I always say to my guests,
Yes.
continued hatzlacha with your wonderful works, with your wonderful initiatives for many, many more years.
You've been very kind to give me of your time. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.